In the middle of this week's Parsha, Parsha Kitisa, we encounter the Jewish people in a heightened state of anxiety. They are waiting for Moshe to come down from the mountain, and they notice that he is delayed. They don't know where he is. In response, they gather themselves together and pounce on top of Aharon and say to Aharon, "Kum, get up, make for us an Elohim who will walk before us. Because this man Moshe, who took us out of Mitzrayim, we don't know what has come of him." Aharon, thinking quickly on his feet, say to the people, "Take out the gold jewelry that's in the ears of your wives, of your sons and your daughters, and bring it to me." And in the next pasuk, Kol ha'am, the nation, takes off the gold earrings in their ears and brings them to Aharon. And then the unthinkable happens. Aharon takes the gold jewelry, and out of the gold jewelry he creates an Egel HaZahav. The people looking at this calf say, "Eila Elohecha Yisrael, asher ha'elucha me'eretz Mitzrayim." A very painful pasuk. They say, this golden calf is the God that has taken you collectively out of Eretz Mitzrayim. This very short narrative, which of course we know, ends up with Moshe's shock and a great plague and dictates much of the rest of the story of the Chumash. This very short story tells us about the total failure of the Jewish people's faith. We wonder about Aharon's motive. Did he have a plan? What was he thinking? We ask ourselves about Moshe's absence. There are many layers here that actually feel quite dismal for the story of the Jewish people. But there's a suppressed narrative which is given voice to in the Midrash. The suppressed narrative which actually tells us about pockets of faith within this very dismal story. And that story is the story of the women who did, it seems, articulate their faith in God during this very terrible episode. I want to share with you today a version of the Midrash which is told in the Tanchuma, recorded in this collection. And in this version, when Aharon sees the people's anxiety, Hitchil ma'asikan bidvarim. He started to involve them, engage them, keep them busy with words, presumably in an effort to delay what he probably saw was the inevitable conclusion. When they said to him, "Get up, Aharon, make for us a god," he understood what they wanted, and he said to them, "Go get the jewelry from your wives' ears." Why? Says the Midrash. He told them something that would be too difficult for the women to do. Why would it be difficult for the women to give up their jewelry? Says the Midrash, because the women saw all of the miracles and all of the great things that God had done for them in Egypt, at the sea, and in Sinai. And as a result of their seeing of those miracles and the jewelry which represented that magical night where they left, right? And they took the jewelry from the Egyptians. The women, as the Midrash tells, stared at their husbands and said, "Chas v'shalom," God forbid, that we would deny God and reject God by giving you this jewelry, the representatives of our faith, and reject the God who has done all these miracles for us. We won't participate. We will not make the idol. When the men heard this speech of their wives, says the Midrash, they didn't listen to them. They weren't stirred. They weren't persuaded. And instead, they took out their own jewelry and brought it to Aharon. Remember, Aharon had said to the men, "Go get the jewelry from your wives and your children." They tried. The women wouldn't give them up. They didn't listen to their speech. And instead, without any delay, they took out their own earrings and brought them to Aharon. What's so interesting about this Midrash is you could say, why tell us this story? The women tried, they believed in God, they said what they said, but it made no difference. In the end, the men were successful at achieving what they wanted. The failure in faith translated into the ego. But the Midrash here, I think, is telling us a very important message. Too often, we tend to focus on the leadership moments that result in the product that the leaders were trying to achieve. Too often we allow ourselves only to celebrate those kinds of leadership efforts which translate into the desired goal. This Midrash teaches us that sometimes what needs to be celebrated is the courage of these women to say what they believe and to try, to stand up, to articulate, to give voice. We need to teach ourselves and train ourselves not only to celebrate those kinds of leadership efforts and that courage, we need to cultivate the conditions so that we all take those risks to be those kinds of leaders, to speak for what we believe, and to work hard without overemphasizing the desired goal. Shabbat Shalom.